Hello and welcome to our NDTV live on YouTube segment. This is where we ask you, our viewer, what you think the most important story of the day should be, what you think we should be focusing on, what you think we should be spending our resources on, the most important story that matters to you. Well, these are the options, and restrictions ease and violence hit northeast Delhi after 5 days of violence and rioting and terrifying nights in northeast Delhi. Restrictions are finally being eased because the center says the situation is improving. That's the first option. Then the Delhi riots, Hindus and Muslims coming together united in grief. In the end, at hospitals where dead bodies have been taken, where the injured have been taken, in the end, no matter what community you're from, we are all human. There's the AAP councillor who has been charged with murder, while of course no FIRs against any of the BJP leaders who had made those alleged hate crimes, alleged hate speeches. And the FIR now filed against social media apps in Hyderabad. And of course, the big international story is coronavirus fears hitting world markets. How is that going to play out in India? Can India stay unaffected? So those were the options. And you could pick the story that you want us to follow today on NDTV 24/7. And 8,200 of our viewers voted this morning. And we have tabulated all your votes. And you have asked us to focus on the Hindus and Muslims uniting in grief right now. That's the story you think is most important. That's the story you think is most relevant to you. And my colleague Sonakshi has been at the GTB hospital, which is where most of the injured have been taken, and she's been speaking with the families of those who have lost loved ones. And she found out grief unites both members of both communities, and in the end there's really no difference between which these persons who have lost their loved ones, young lives who've been snuffed out, that have been snuffed out, and in the end we're all human. But the headline right now in this story is that the death toll in this horrific violence that has taken place for 5 days now has now risen to 39. That means there are 39 lives. Remember, it's one life lost, but for somebody it could be their entire universe. It could be a child whose father has been killed. It could be a wife whose husband has been killed. And the question is, who's going to be accountable? Who's going to take accountability for this loss of life? We're not even getting to the loss of property and the destruction, and people who now have to pick up their lives, everything lost, everything burnt, all their possessions, their entire life's savings, everything they have owned. How are they going to pick up from this rubble and move on? Is anyone going to be held accountable? Well, amidst the Delhi violence, we're going to hear the Home Minister Amit Shah. He's going to be addressing a pro-CAA rally in Odisha today. And so we'll be hearing from him possibly on this matter. But on the ground, the authorities here in the center are saying that the situation is improving, that we should not believe rumors. They are setting up the special SITs that are going to be headed by senior police officers who are going to look and investigate who was responsible. Will they hold anybody accountable? Will anybody be arrested? Well, interestingly, these SITs are going to be headed by the very police who residents of this northeast Delhi have pointed fingers at for their complicity in the violence over the last 5 days. Many questions have been raised about the role of the police in not bringing this violence under control earlier. This lasted for 5 whole days. 39 people have lost their lives. Was the police duplicitous in this riot? Could they have done more? Should they have done more? Well, will we ever know? Because now the investigations into who should be held accountable for this are going to be headed by the very same police officers against whom fingers have been raised. Now we're told that Home Minister Amit Shah is meeting with senior officers to review the situation, but on the ground they're easing restrictions. Section 144 that had been put into place is now being eased slowly on day 5, which means from this morning from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. it was removed. These restrictions were removed, and again in the evening from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. these restrictions will be removed. So what does this mean for people on the ground? We've had our reporters there, and it means simply that, for example, if you're a parent of a young child, for the last 5 days you've not been able to get any milk hasn't been delivered by the milk trucks to these areas because they've been worried about the violence. So just imagine, these few hours will at least allow you hopefully to go out and about and at least get the basic essentials for your loved ones, children living in homes that have run out of basic essentials, food to eat. At least it's an opportunity then that you will at least be able to step out for a bit without fear, perhaps with fear, but at least with the hope that you will not be injured or worse happening to you right now. So that's the situation on the ground. We do have our reporters fanned out across Northeast Delhi. We'll continue to bring you live updates on this story. Thank you.